Welcome to our travel channel where we sail through the Panama Canal. Our adventure begins by departing from Auckland and stopping over in Honolulu and then progressing on to New York. And in New York we spend 10 action-packed days before heading down to Miami, where we board the Royal Caribbean Vision of the Seas and go to a number of ports in the countries of Colombia, Panama, Costa Rica, Guatemala and Mexico. We finish up in Los Angeles, California and fly back to Auckland, New Zealand. So come along with us for the ride as we have fun and more fun at these amazing destinations. So our journey started by catching the bus to Auckland Airport, then flying Air New Zealand to Honolulu. We arrived at 6:25 a.m. the next morning after an 8.5 hour flight and booked a transfer to the Ala Moana Hotel in Waikiki. For breakfast we finally settled on eggs and things at 451 Pequay Street, which was a 4 out of 5 on TripAdvisor. As this wasn't our first times in Honolulu, we just relaxed and wandered around the local area of Ala Moana. Then later on in the day we took a bus downtown for $2 and had dinner. The next day we checked out of the hotel at midday and took a transfer to the airport for our 3:15 p.m. flight on Hawaiian Airlines to New York. Flight time on the Airbus A330 is about 10 hours. The service and food was excellent and we arrived at JFK Airport at 7 a.m. in the morning. It was rush hour traffic. Cold and pouring with rain when we arrived, in other words, typical New York. We grabbed a yellow cab and went straight to our Airbnb accommodation in Harlem, Manhattan. We spent our first day in New York setting ourselves up with a Metro card, food and sightseeing tickets and general orientation. The next day, Susan enjoyed her engagement with the NYPD, in particular the 28th Precinct in Harlem. We went down to the famous Times Square, my third visit there and Susan's first. Times Square is the most bustling square of New York. It's known for its many Broadway theatres, cinemas and electronic billboards, and is one of those places that make New York City a city that never sleeps.
Yeah. Make it 10 or something.
It's not like you to part with your money so easily.
No, it isn't.
We already have a tooth on there.
During the course of our stay we returned to the square many times to dine, shop and take in the city's vibrance. Overall it was quite a tiring experience. Just up from Times Square is the Rockefeller Center. It's a large complex of 19 commercial buildings occupying an area of 22 acres. The focal point of the centre is the Comcast building, which was formerly called the General Electric Building, and before that the RCA Building. Today it houses NBC New York. The Rockefeller Center features rooftop bars, works of art and shopping. On the 70th floor of the Comcast building is an observation deck called the Top of the Rock. To get there, you need to buy tickets online, then turn up at the booked time. Built between 1931 and 1940, the Rockefeller Center was intended to be a symbol of prosperity and a public space where New Yorkers and people like Susan and I could appreciate art. Today, the plaza, which bears the name of its financier, remains one of the most highly trafficked areas in New York. And, as Rockefeller envisioned, a place where private sphere intersects with public life. It was freezingly cold up at the observation deck, but the wait for the sunset and the night cityscape was well worth enduring the situation. Previously, we had debated whether to visit the Top of the Rock or the Empire State Building, or both. In the end, we decided it was best for us just to view the Empire State Building from the Top of the Rock. Our first big day in New York. What a fantastic time we had. We finished with dinner in Times Square at the Tonic, a double burger for Susan and a chicken stir fry for me. We hope you enjoyed our introduction to New York, and we look forward to seeing you in our next episode, where we take the High Line Walk, a ferry to Staten Island, visit Central Park and more.